St Mary's Parish Church, and unless I'm mistaken, this is the former house of Oliver Cromwell. There's ghost walks here where you're guaranteed to see a ghost. I won't tell you how that happens though. And there's another thing which America's or Japan I think started off. There's this thing where you sort of get locked in a room and you have to solve puzzles to get out. Well, they've started doing that here, and it's booked until the end of the year. It's so popular. This is Ely Sharp, Tourist Development Officer for Visit Ely, and we've got lots here to see. Ely, what should we be seeing?
Well, Ely is a city for all. It's very heavy on its heritage. We have the famous Ely Cathedral with its wonderful octagon and west tower, which you can visit, as well as visiting the cathedral. Also in the cathedral is Stained Glass Museum. Also we have the Ely Museum on Market Street, which has great depths of history from Ice Age Ely right up to present day Ely. And here we are now in the Oliver Cromwell House, which is a visitor attraction also. We also have a delightful riverside, which you can wander around, large antique centre, lots of places to eat and drink, and an award-winning tea room to visit.
Well, that sounds very good. But now in Oliver Cromwell's house, which, if memory serves me correctly, he inherited in 1636 or thereabouts.
Yes, thereabout. He inherited it from his uncle, and he moved from Huntington, brought his family here, was here for about 10 years. Most of his children grew up in the house, and it was the family home before he went off to war. And his next home was, of course, Hampton Court Palace.
Yes, which was where the country was ruled from as Lord Protector.
Exactly.
Yes. Or King, as it turned out.
King in all but name.
Yes, yes, in all but name. Yes. So, and this house itself, a museum in a way, isn't it?
Well, it is a museum, but not quite. We call it a visitor attraction. It hasn't really got museum status, so it is a visitor attraction for you to wander around. We have several rooms. First room being that you go through to the parlour, where you see an introductory film about Oliver Cromwell. Then there's a lovely kitchen where Mrs. Cromwell used to cook with all her recipes and cooked her famous eel pie, and you see her chopping up the eel on the kitchen table. And then we've got our famous haunted bedroom at the end of the tour, where you'll see Cromwell and hear the famous haunted tales of the house. And
you have one or two haunted tales
we do indeed. Lots of visitors come into the house and feel things and see things, and a lot of them have written the tales down in a book that we keep of the house for everyone to read. One of the ones that particularly springs to mind is of a family who started the tour off, as I just mentioned, in the parlour. We're watching the film. The family had a little girl, and she was sitting there watching the film and said to the mother that she was sitting next to another little girl whom she described as being in a bonnet, and said to her, "You'll see my father at the end of this tour. He's upstairs dead in bed." And when the little girl went up to the haunted bedroom and saw Cromwell dead in the bed, she was absolutely terrified and was screaming and had to leave the house. The mother had to calm her down. Mother then came back into the house and reported to the ladies what she'd seen. And the little girl would not have known that the other little girl was in a bonnet and called the man upstairs father. So
this is rather curious, though of course Cromwell didn't die here.
No, he didn't die here.
1658, I think he died in London, if memory serves me right.
Yes, yeah.
So but it is curious the way she spoke.
Tale. Yes, and so the haunters, we've had lots of, as I've mentioned earlier, visitors reporting all their hauntings as they've come around the house and experienced different things.
And it's been on the television as well.
It's been on the television on Most Haunted. We have lots of paranormal groups here that are fascinated by the house. Each week we have a different inquiry from a different group.
Oh, well, that's quite that's very impressive.
And we also organise the Ely Ghost Tours from here, which are coming up very soon for Halloween. So this room is set up as a family environment. We have Mrs. Cromwell here with a couple of the children. They would have done the usual things like play the games, and Mrs. Cromwell's doing some embroidery. The room is also set up as you get a chance to dress up in 17th century clothing for the children and also play the games of the time. We also have a range of hats for everyone to try on and have a nice photo opportunity for the family.
Oh, very good. And any ghosts here?
There have been one or two, yes. Mainly people in bed. Not been very well in this room actually. Yes.
Oh, really? Okay.
Yes.
Yes.
So there you go.
Okay.
So this room, next room we're going through to, is what we call the Civil War room. This is all about the military and Cromwell's battles. Has the timeline, because the famous picture of Cromwell ready to go to battle.
Last night, curiously enough, I slept at a lay-by next to the place where the Battle of Naseby was.
Oh, yes.
1645.
Yes.
What a coincidence.
What a coincidence.
Yes.
Okay, you'll have it on the timeline.
And I find it difficult to understand what they thought they were fighting for. I understand what Oliver was fighting for. He wanted to be boss, and I understand what Charles was fighting for. I don't understand what anybody else was fighting for.
Yeah, well, that's the Civil War. Going through now to the study, where
Okay.
it shows Cromwell's reflective time.
Okay, hero or villain?
Someone's in here, so I'll have to stop now. We're now entering the study, and this is Cromwell's reflective time before going to war. We have the vicar here reading a prayer to him, and it also gives the visitor a chance to decide whether Cromwell was a hero or villain. We have a little chart over here on the wall, and it's quite interesting, the statistics on that, whether the visitors thought he was hero or villain.
Well, yes, that's pretty clear. 58-42, so that's his 56-44. That's his worst score. But in general, we can say it's more or less 2-1
That's right.
in favour of hero. So what do you think?
Well, you've got to remember he's in the top 10 Great Britain. This room is a very atmospheric room. Visitors have seen lots of orbs through their cameras and videos they've taken, particularly dancing around on those curtains.
Right. So let's hope one appears now.
Yes, you never know.
Yes, we'll get this will be on my website and on YouTube. So that'll get a few views if there were any ghostly flickers on that.
So now you're entering the haunted bedroom.
Right. Okay. Ooh.
So this is sort of set in Cromwell's final days, although
sorry.
he actually didn't die here.
Yes.
But now you'll hear the commentary come on that tells you the story.
Oliver Cromwell died in the Palace of Whitehall on the 3rd of September 1658, following an illness which had worsened with grief over the recent death of his favourite daughter, Betty. In life, he had refused the crown and title of king, but in death, his people buried him as a monarch in the Chapel of the Kings in Westminster Abbey. He had achieved much as Lord Protector, had encouraged religious toleration, and had made his country one of the greatest in Europe. However, in 1660, Charles II was restored to the throne. Those who had signed his father's death warrant were in their turn to be executed. 3 of those who had already died were also not to escape punishment, and their bodies were exhumed. So it was that Oliver Cromwell's body was removed from Westminster Abbey. After being hanged at Tyburn, the head was cut off, placed on top of a pike, and displayed above Westminster Hall. But on the night of a great storm, the head fell down. A soldier picked it up. Later, it passed into many hands. 3 centuries later, in 1960, the head, said to be that of Oliver Cromwell, was buried in the antechapel of his old Cambridge College, Sydney, Sussex, where it remains to this day. Cromwell's life ended far away from this house in Ely, but some say they have experienced a ghostly presence in this very bedroom. Could it be that the Lord Protector returns to keep a restless watch over his much